this time, we have running backs coach Larry Porter. Questions for Coach Porter, Greg?
So, Larry, just start with fit. I mean, you've been a lot of places. How does West Virginia fit? How does Rich Rod's system fit with what you have taught in the past?
Well, first of all, I just want to say hi and thank you guys for giving me this opportunity. But I think when you talk about fit, it's more about alignment in my mind. And when you think about the things that Coach, the principles in which he's trying to build his program off of, having a hard edge, earn success, and just truly being about grit, a blue-collar program, those principles, one, philosophically fits the things that I believe in, but also I think that they're true measures of success. When you think about success in the game of football, it's built around toughness, discipline, physicality, all the things that Coach is trying to lay a foundation here with, and I'm super excited about it.
You saw West Virginia on the other side of the field a year ago, right, in bowl game. What are your recollections of that game? Does it feel odd to be here now?
Oh wow, that was a good punch. Yeah, that was a dark day for us, but again. You're talking about a program in a state that's blue-collar, tough, discipline, all the things that led to their success in that game. And the thing that I truly enjoy is Coach Rich Rod is, he's from this state. He was born and raised here. He played here. And I know that this opportunity means the world to him. I know it's sinking his heart and soul. And when you put yourself in a position to be behind a leader that is truly all in, it's just a super exciting opportunity that I'm truly looking forward to.
The other end, obviously, for your position is Jaheim White.
Mm-hmm.
He's a known commodity, I'd imagine. What do you think of him? What did you think of him from afar? What now do you think of him that you've been around him a little bit?
Well, I would probably say you know a lot more about him than I do. Obviously he's nursing an injury and pretty close to being ready to roll. And, my whole approach to Jaheim is, everything that we have to achieve and do is in front of us. Last year is exactly what it was. It was last year. And I think he's super excited about that mentality and that mindset, just trying to build on the things that he accomplished last year. And that's kind of where our focus is. But he's been a pleasure to get to know and to meet and to be around.
How do you feel about the rest of your guys over at Michigan?
Obviously, still learning and growing just like I am with Jaheim. I think we got a group that is buying into Coach's system because that's where it all starts. Right now, it's more about laying a foundation that would truly be able to help us sustain success at a high level. And so discipline, accountability, toughness, having a hard edge, earning success, all those things are being echoed daily, but also there's a standard here that we're trying to get those guys to meet, and my room is no different. We're trying to lay our foundation with the principles that the coach have kind of laid before the team, and we still have work to do.
So obviously there's never a one-to-one player comparison, and it's early in your evaluation, but do you see any of those Amari and Hampton type backs in this room when you look at it?
Well, I don't think that that's a fair comparison, and the reason I'm saying that is because I think every back, regardless of who they are, is unique to themselves. What I try to do is find out what their dominant trait is and then build off of that. And so even as you look at the room, every guy's different in that room. So how do you build off of their dominant trait? How do you take their skill set and try to help them become the best version of themselves to give this team an opportunity to be successful by them helping the team?
A lot of the techniques the backs have to learn are pretty much the same, hand positioning, things like that you're starting. Are there any different things or things that you really zero in on in your teaching that you say, hey, all of my guys have to do this in order to play?
So a couple of things. First, we're all learning, right? Coach is coming in and installing a new system offensively, defensively, and special teams. And so we're all immersed in that, just trying to truly learn that aspect of it. But, it starts with, protecting, right? Being able to protect the football, being able to protect the quarterback. I think that's an essential piece. And then The other piece is just point of attack production, right? Just being able to get more than what the play gives you. So there's a big emphasis on that aspect of it as well in the room. And then, again, probably the most important piece, and I'll say this over and over and over because it's what's going on within our program, that is establishing a hard edge, and being in position to make whoever is on the other side feel that hard edge. Mm-hmm.
What does hard edge mean to you, like in detail?
It means grit. It means toughness. It means earned success. It means the discipline, and it's living to a standard that really and truly, in my mind, represents this program, this state, and our head coach.
Rich talked a week or so ago before the break, even actually before you were officially hired, about one thing he's looking for from his assistants is to point out if somebody's not being hard edge or even being lazy, being soft, so he doesn't have to do it all the time. Where are you in terms of knowing what Rich thinks is lazy or soft? Do you think you know what he would want pointed out already?
Yes, I do and I don't, right? For me, I'm just pinning my ears back and following him. So, if he's hollering at one of my guys, I'm right behind him. And but we meet as a staff, and he does point those things out in film, and it's our job as coaches to take it back to our meeting room and continue to emphasize that with our players. And so, on one hand, I am learning, but I like today, it was a little something different, just something as simple as, after the play, having the urgency to get the ball back to the official and get lined up where, that's something that he's been teaching since day one, but there's levels to it, right? And so we're trying to continue to upgrade the levels until he's satisfied. So if you hear coach, okay, then we're not doing our job. And that's kind of the way I see it. And again, when he doesn't have to coach, we're doing our job. So if you hear him, we're not. And so I'm trying to make sure that with my guys, he's staying quiet. So that's kind of
That's kind of what I was getting to.
yeah.
You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The quarterback in Rich's offense has always been a running back also.
Right.
Do you work with them at all on that, or is that a different world?
No, that's all Rhett and Coach Rodriguez. Those two guys handle the quarterback position. I handle the running back position, and I think that's enough for me. Those guys at that position, I think, has a special place in Coach's heart. Talking about the quarterbacks, and so I just kind of leave that alone. Yeah.
So WVU's always, or at least over the past 20 years, often had this reputation for having a good run game. You look at Rich Rod's first tenure here; they had a great run game. Even the past couple of years under Coach Neil Brown, top 10 in Power 5 in rushing yards per game. What do you do to sustain that success while transitioning in a new system?
Well, first and foremost, Coach is, he likes to run the leather off the ball. So I don't think that would be an issue. Obviously, we have to figure out ways, and that's the one thing that I do really enjoy about this offense. We try to stretch the field vertically and horizontally with the run game and the pass game for that matter. And so I think everything that we do will be built around the run and built off the run. And so that will be an emphasis, and I truly expect us to continue that trend of him putting up elite numbers in terms of running the ball.
Have you ever worked with an offense like this before in your stops?
So, yes and no, right? The tempo aspect of it, yes, but I think when you look at most offenses, there are some philosophical differences, and this offense is no different. So I've been around pieces and part of what we're doing, but collectively, overall, some of it is new.
You've had a lot of success recruiting over the years. Kind of what's the key for you, and what areas do you plan to recruit here?
For me, I think recruiting starts with relationship. 2, you have to work at it daily. And then 3, you have to understand the vision in which the head coach is trying to build his program and being able to articulate it in a way that it fits that young man, And in terms of areas, I think that's still fluid right now. We're still working through that. But the one thing for sure is that I will be involved in recruiting all running backs.
How'd you get into coaching? Obviously, you were a player. We know you were at Memphis. How did the coaching path come about? Did you know it early or come to you later?
Right. So when I got to college and transitioned and figured out what I truly wanted to do, which was kind of give back to young men, and just being around some other guys on my team, they got into coaching. We sitting around talking and just made the decision that coaching was the avenue for me to give back to young men and impact the lives of young men. And in saying that, I started out coaching high school football, and I was fortunate enough to just get a call one day from a former coach of mine, and he asked me, did I have any interest in coaching college ball? And I said yes, and we kind of went from there. So that's kind of how I got started in college. But I was very grateful that one of my former coaches thought highly enough for me to give me a call and thought that I would make a really good college coach.
You mentioned wanting to leave an impact on young men's lives, make an impact in their lives. One day when these running backs that you're coaching right now are long removed from WVU football, whether they've gone professional or they've gone professional in something other than sports, as the NCAA likes to say, what do you hope they remember about you, the impact you made on their lives, the lessons that you taught them?
Well, the first one I would hope is that I developed them and taught them how to have a hard edge, right? That's what we're trying to get accomplished here. And again, I think that mindset applies to life because you're going to have adversity. You're going to have to learn how to fight in certain situations. You're going to have to learn how to be disciplined, right? And then there are situations where you're going to have to learn how to lead your families, right? And so there's a lot of different elements that involves this hard edge philosophy that applies to life. So the hard edge piece is one thing. The second thing is that I taught them how to love, right? And that's one thing that's near and dear to my heart because you can coach these young men as much as you want to, as hard as you want to, but until they know that you truly care about them, sometimes it's hard for them to buy in. And for me, I just try to lay my heart on the table and give them everything I got every day I walk in this building. And so the love piece, I look back and I like to tell them that, hey man, I love you. I want them to know that is a manly piece of life. And then the third thing is just giving them some wisdom about life that can help them be successful in whatever path that they choose.
You were talking about your coaching journey and how you started out in high school. Some people when they start coaching, they slide right into the collegiate path. Some people, they grind in the high schools. How much did that high school experience help you, build you, benefit you, that you started at that level and then moved into the collegiate?
Yeah, so again, it was, Coach said it out there today, right? As a player, you think you know more than you really do, you actually do. And so when I got into coaching, I realized how much I didn't know, right? So I was fortunate enough to have access to, again, former coaches, former teammates who were coaching on the collegiate level that gave me, access to them and for me to go and visit with them and learn a little bit more about what it truly takes to coach. And in doing that, you grab a little bit here and a little bit there and kind of, make it fit what you believe in and who you are and just kind of build from there. And I've been fortunate enough outside of that piece to also be around some good coaches that I've been able to steal certain things from.
Yeah, but from the high school level where you're picking up the pads, you're cleaning up the water bottles, it's kind of that ground level. I mean, how much do you think that helped you when you then made the move to college, that you had that high school experience of that almost DIY aspect?
Well, so I've always been a whatever it takes kind of guy. So that never bothered me, and I've never, you look back on it like now and what you're saying and maybe being able to laugh at some of the things, but I always embrace whatever it is that I'm facing. And I don't necessarily always see it as hard. I see it as something that needs to be done, right? And so whatever it is that needs to be done, that's just, I've always embraced it. So I've probably haven't even thought of it that way since you've said it, but I guess I will take a look back at it. But that's what I've enjoyed about like coaching. Like there's always something else and something more that you can do to prepare yourself to greater heights, to grow. And in the high school arena, shall I say, you know, you are dealing with a lot of young, fragile lives, right? And so again, the best way to approach it, all I know is to just put my heart into it. That's kind of just who I am, right? And from there, you learn as you go, you know.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Ryan?
Over the last several years, the Big 12 has went from the air raid league to more of a running league.
Mm-hmm.
What about a conference gives it kind of that running league, I guess, mentality? And then for you as the running backs coach, does that put more pressure on you to try to have that production out of your group when you know you're in a league that really likes to run the football?
No, it excites me. I mean, we get to run the ball, you know, as opposed to being over there as a running back coach and you're throwing it 50 times a game. And like, what are we doing? We're actually running the ball, right? So that excites me, and I embrace that excitement. And again, I'm with a head coach that loves to run the football. That excites me. We got a room, I think, that's willing to accept the challenge of the production that we need in order for us to play at a standard that will lead to success within this program. So, and I think my main focus is in the things that I can control is what goes on in this program as it relates to the league. Yeah, that's a lot of fun, but I think it all starts in-house with us making sure that we are doing the things we need to be successful within this program here.
Okay, thanks very much, Coach.
Yep, yep,
Appreciate
yep.
it.
Thank you, gentlemen.